Welcome to Grew with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course the best medicine of them all, reflect on cherished memories. Remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grow with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Grew with Portia. I am your host, Portia Booker, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep with the latest and greatest of all with Grew with Portia. One of the things that I love about life is the ironic things that occur. And as you all know, I talk about grief a lot, and grief is not always limited to the physical transitions that we experience in our life. Let's think about the grief that comes from infertility. But also, as I've mentioned too, that grief is the birthplace for transformation. So today I have the honor of having an amazing woman who not only had the experience of infertility, but was gifted the abundance of 3 sets of twins. So welcome to the show, Miss Fran Pitre. How you doing today, Fran?
I'm doing just wonderful today, Portia. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
It's an honor to have you as well. We're going to dive into your story and your journey and your multifaceted creative wheelhouse. So before we dive into the conversation, Fran, what are you grateful for today?
Oh, my goodness. I am grateful for air conditioning because we live in Northeast Florida. And right now, I think it's 246 degrees outside easily. So I am grateful. I am grateful for today. I'm grateful for the sunshine. I'm grateful for the health that my family has all been bestowed with. And I choose every morning to wake up with a gratitude attitude as well. So.
I feel it, Fran. Let's be realistic. I'm sure that your AC, if you didn't have that, you probably have an IV plugged into your armpits to keep the deodorant flowing all day.
And I'll tell you, a couple years back, we had a down unit. We had it, and it was bad. And they just can't come out soon enough. We'll be there. I promise we'll be there. And then, well, now we're going to have to be there tomorrow. And but you get through it. You just get through it. So
You do.
Yep.
I mean, it's definitely been a little bit of a toasty summer, even
Oh
here
yeah.
where I am in Ohio, where I've had to literally almost have to hire somebody outside to fan me all day while I'm working because I mean, I live in a house that does not have AC yet.
Ah,
We're old school and we still
right,
use fans. At
right,
the same time, we make do, right? If I start to
right.
have a little bit of the personal summer roast show where I'm
Sure.
sweating and it might, fall into a bucket for water later, we'll figure that out at another time.
Well, I hear you. I hear you.
Brent, as I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of times we associate grief primarily with the physical transitions of individuals and people in our lives. And
Right.
for you, you went through infertility for a period of time before you had your 3 sets of twins. I'm
Correct.
curious, Fran, can you share with us what that grief journey was like for you?
So, we all start out, most of us start out, we get married, we think about, what our future is. We think about, working on our careers, but we also know that down the road we want our children. We want to start that family. We want that dream to come true. Well, with us, we were no different. A few years into our marriage, we decided the time was right to start to try. And, all of our siblings, our peers, everybody was starting to make their announcements, have their babies, and start their families. Well, we made that same choice around that same time. But, the month went by, another one, and then it became many that turned into many years. And it was a very difficult pill to swallow to realize at one point that, yes, we are one of those couples that I wouldn't ever want to be, never want to wish on anyone else. But And it was very hard because it was an acceptance, like any grief that you go through, whether it's the loss of a loved one. This was a loss of a dream that we felt we were having. We were experiencing it. We weren't the couple to jump onto the bandwagon and start the big technologies or anything like that. We wanted it to go about a natural way. We wanted to give God the steering wheel. We wanted to think that this was just, our journey right now, and we'll be patient and we'll do what we need to do, but eventually it will happen, right? Well, 2 years turned into 3 and into 4, and it was very hard, and we would go up and down. I have to say that my partner in life, my husband, has been one of the reasons why I've stayed sane, because I was fortunate and blessed enough to find the kind of person who was patient, supportive, and wanted the same things that I wanted as well. We were each other's cheerleaders. We're each other's biggest fan. And during this time, these years of infertility and not knowing what the future holds, and there were depression that set in with me. There was anger. There was a feeling of being denied something that everyone else was being told yes for. And I felt betrayed. Honestly, I went through a real hard time faith-wise. I felt that I was being told no for whatever reason that was, and it was difficult. And the only way we got through it was we took breaks. We just said, okay, enough for now. Let's focus on something else for a while. And that was wonderful. And I had my career, and I had my family, and I had my music. And I was at that time a graphic designer during the day and a rocker chick at night. I was a lead and backup singer in a rock band in suburban Washington, D.C., and had a wonderful time at it. But that cloud hung over my head. And until we took one more step and actually achieved that goal and became expectant parents. I was not going to give up. And that's one of the things I'll say to anyone, as hard as it is, give yourself breaks, but don't give up. And just, reach into yourself, reach into your soul, and know that you've got the strength to get through this. And somehow it will work out.
Fran, you brought up the support of your husband. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious, how did you navigate and hold on to that bond when both of you are kind of grieving
Oh, yeah.
separately, and also you're taking breaks
Right.
and there's some anger there, right? There's some sadness. So, what did it take for both of you to continue to choose to love each other and support each other during this rocky season in both of your lives?
Very, very, very good question. So we grew a lot together during this time. We met as teenagers, and we fell in love, in high school and college, and waited to get through college and got our degrees and got married and started this life together. But I'll tell you what, as much as we loved each other then, and we did, and we made the commitment to love each other forever, boy, we were given a huge challenge to live through. And, being human, you start to find out it's not working. Whose fault is it? Is it a fault? Do you want to blame yourself? Do you want to blame the other? You don't want to. Certainly, you don't want to. But only naturally it's going to start to happen. Is it you? Is it me? We need to go through all these invasive, embarrassing tests. We have to go through all this together. And I have to say, it was hard sometimes because my husband is a private person, and I'm actually, when it comes to this type of subject, although I wrote a book about it, going through it, it was a whole different situation. Didn't want to sit down and talk about it. Didn't want to talk about it with my friends. Didn't want to talk about it with my family. Didn't want to show up at reunions and family gatherings and, the elephant in the room, after 4 years and everyone's popping up pregnant, right? But we talked a lot. I find that our successful marriage was about open communication, being honest, bluntly honest, not being right, just being honest, and understanding that each other is going, we're both going through this together, sometimes more than the other, one more than the other. um, we just had to learn to be patient, make it not about ourselves, talk it out all the time. And we did talk a lot. And sometimes we just got tired of it. Like I said, we took breaks. We would plan a vacation and go out and say, listen, while we're out of town, this subject does not come up. We just talk about what we're doing right now. We talk about now. We talk about enjoying life and today and being grateful for what we have right now because we're healthy, we're young, and we have each other. And, some people don't have that. And so we would try to focus not so much on what we don't have, but what we did have. And I think that that was freeing, and it allowed us to further deepen our love and respect for each other, and to understand that we were both going through this. And it was very hard. There were times, I'll tell you, I was in the deepest, darkest place, and between my faith, holding on by my fingernails, and holding on to Bruce's hands, got me through it, and we got each other through it. And look at us now. We've been married
One,
4 years.
how many years, Fran?
On May 28th, I'm sorry, on May 25th, this past month, we celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary.
Wow,
Yes,
look at that.
yes, yes. I was only 10 when we got married, just saying. Very,
Wait, so
just
y'all
child
met on the
bride.
playground in middle school? Y'all knew he
Yes,
was the one, he's gonna be the one that I'm with forever.
yeah. But truly, it's been a growth process. And I'll tell you, nothing made us grow up more than having the children. Wow. Does that change your life perspective? Does that take you out of it's all about me? Whoa, nothing changes you like that. And throw
Wow.
them as two at a time. That's been a journey and an amazing roller coaster ride.
And so, Fran, today you've got three sets,
Yes.
six children total.
Yes, ma'am.
So, are they stair steps? What's the ages
Okay.
currently?
So when we found out we were having our first pregnancy, in about 6 weeks, I found out it was two, and I was thrilled, thrilled, thrilled. Down the road, we found out it was two girls. So we had our two girls. 4 years later, we had our boy-girl set of twins. So now we had three girls and a boy, and we were thrilled. About 7 years later, when it wasn't too late, we said, let's go for that boy. And we got two. So we have three of each. So boy, boy was last. The middle setter is a boy, girl, and our girls came first. So we have every twin combination.
Wow. I mean, talk about almost like a fairy tale type of situation where the wave of a magic wand
Right.
delivered an overabundance of a dream. You
Well,
wanted
it's true.
children.
Exactly. And I would never have dreamed it. I would never have imagined. I wanted, we say what we want, what we dream about, what we hope for, was a couple of children. We were hoping to have a family together. And and I never would have imagined this would have happened. I never would have dreamed it. If you had told me this when we were going through what we were going through, well, first of all, I wouldn't have believed you, and I would have doubled over laughing. But it just shows that God has plans way, way beyond what we can dream, and that his timing is perfect, and that it has nothing to do with what, we imagine, because the imagination cannot hold what God wants to give us. And, at the same time, I would never imagine, looking back now, it being any different, because I can't imagine that this journey being any different. And I've been just so blessed to have gone through it. It was hard, very, very hard. A lot of hard things that have happened, even since all, having the children. But, it just proves, with patience, that all things are possible with God. So that is my message.
Well, yeah, things don't happen on our time, right? They
Right.
happen on God's time, and it can
Exactly.
happen the very next day, or it can take,
Right.
to your point, several years.
And it was over the course of 12 years or more than
Wow.
that, really. It was more like, we started to try to have a family, And it was 5 years before the girls were born. And then another good 4 years wanting to have our third child, went through another big long stretch of it. So now the funny part was that the first two set of twins actually took a little bit of intervention, not anything big. We didn't do IVF or anything like that, but we agreed to do something,
Mm-hmm.
something small, but we did it. We did it once and it happened. Then we did it once again and it happened. But the third time was an idea, and we had our twins on their own. So that was that was the biggest irony of all. So,
I
it was
mean,
amazing.
no pun intended. That was a science experiment that got an A.
Probably a plus, that's for sure. Yes.
Fran, for our audience who's tuning in,
Mhm.
they probably are not aware that you also have a book called Twins Times Three. And I
Yeah,
know the book came out in 2009, and you
correct.
recently remastered it and also have an audio version
Yes,
narrated
ma'am.
by you. And I'm curious, Fran, for our audience, what maybe can they expect in the audio version that may not be in the print?
Okay, so the audio version came out just a few months ago. And what I did is I updated it because the second 10-year anniversary of the first book came out in 2019. And it, of course, updated everyone for the 10 years that was the gap between the first and second book. However, 2024, end of 2024, I updated the audiobook all the way up to that point, which included a wedding because we had one of our daughters was married. So we've gone all the way through, high risk pregnancy to our first marriage. And it's a great story. I tell the whole story myself. I read it myself in a sound studio, and you can feel the emotion, you can feel the joy, you can feel the heartbreak. You can experience it, as you're walking through it with me, like we're two people sitting on a couch talking about it together. And that's what my goal was. And so people who've listened to it said, I just listened and I got caught up in the whole thing and I couldn't stop. I just had to listen to the very end, and it was so inspiring, and just it was such a feel good, story of success and failure, but that came to a culmination of joy and just the belief that faith will see us through. And that is what this is about. And that's what your listeners and your readers will hear when they read the book also. But if you listen to my audiobook, you'll get a little bit closer to kind of the way it all happened and how I felt through the whole thing.
So, Fran, I got to ask this.
Okay.
Considering that, you wrote this book, is there any part in the audio where we'll hear Bruce or any of the kids?
Well, so not in the book itself. So the book is really based on my journaling. So I started journaling in these little books way back when I first went on bed rest with my very first pregnancy. It just was a way to take a very busy, nonstop person and put her on the couch for 3 months. Was very hard. So I found ways to keep busy, and one of those ways was just to jot down my observations, my frustrations, everything. And I found that after a while, that was helping me. And as the years went by, after my boys were born last, I had a stack of rubber banded together books. Well, one day I just started to go back to the beginning and read, and I was laughing and going, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about this and that, and wow, that's kind of cool and that's kind of deep." You know what? Well, I went into my office and sat down at my PC and started to write and said, "There's a book being born," and the children are from my perspective. I didn't want to get into their personal sides. I asked them for one thing. I wanted to make sure that when this was done, that they were respected. They were little at the time, but they're now all, my youngest are 17 now. And it's important to me that they don't feel that they're embarrassed at all, or in any way feel that they've been, just, not asked for their permission. So I did. And if anything was against what they wanted, or if they just didn't feel comfortable with it, it didn't happen. But in terms of involvement, they aren't involved in my music, and they do sing on some of the music. So, because that's a not to jump to that transition, but I wanted to say that. But as for the book and the audiobook, no, um, I it's from my perspective as their mother, and so the story is about me observing them and life with them and with our family, and that's the way I chose to do it.
Oh, Fran, that's so just beautiful. I mean, the fact that you took this downtime as you're cooped up and on bed prison,
Oh
kind of.
yes, yes,
And
yes,
you're like, I need something to do. I need to get these emotions out. And why not
exactly.
through something such as journaling? Because it's
Right.
so healing and relaxing, easy to
It,
do. And
it's a therapeutic and cathartic process. It truly
mhm.
is. You get down. I had names of people, nurses, and I just there were just things I needed to capture, just for sanity's purpose, and it was helpful for me. And then I realized maybe it would be helpful for someone else. So
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I'm
That's
not the only one going through this. That is for sure. Right,
okay.
right.
You ain't the only one that's been on bed prison, so
Nope.
that's a whole
Well, and
nother-
infertility and a high risk pregnancy and then delivering premature twins and then getting through just the trenches of newborn time and that is all about the trenches. It is exhausting. So many things that we've gone through and so many things that we all go through. It's just important. I don't believe that any of us go through this life alone, or nor are we meant to. Nor are we meant to go through the things that we do and keep it to ourselves. We're meant to share it so that we can inspire, we can educate, we can encourage, and we can entertain. And we all look for that purpose in our lives. And I believe that the road that I was given, and all the uniqueness about my life and the things that we've been given in front of us to do and to achieve and to get through, those are meant to be shared, and I'm honored to be able to do that. So,
Well, Fran, speaking of purpose for our audience, we were talking a little bit before we started the
right,
conversation. You
right.
are also a musician.
Yes, ma'am.
And for our audience, I'm curious, Fran, when did that music passion start? Were you one of those little kids that had their own
Yeah.
microphone growing up,
Oh,
singing in
yeah.
front of the TV? And who were some of your influences growing up?
Well, so when I was apparently, I can't say this for sure, but my mom would say this to me. She'd say, "I knew you were awake from your nap because I could hear you singing. You were in your crib and you were standing there and you were singing, the theme to television shows before you could speak. You were singing commercial jingles, for advertisements on television." And you couldn't put two words together for a sentence, but you could do that entire thing, right? So, and so I got involved in theater as a kid, through elementary and through high school and college. Well, as for my influences, oh my goodness, I was huge into the Partridge Family. Okay, I loved Olivia Newton-John. I loved so many artists. It's hard to even say. I was huge into Elton John. Oh my gosh, I still am. There are a lot of influences that I have. I love Faith Hill. I love, I can't even begin to name them all because a lot of it goes back to even, oh my gosh, George Gershwin. Oh my goodness, Glenn Miller. Love so many foundational musicians in this world that we have to be able to feed from and to be able to be inspired by. Portia, I've been doing this my whole life. As I said in the beginning, I was in a band in my 20s. After getting out of college. I joined a band one week. My husband and I lived in Northern Virginia. Loved it, absolutely loved it. I mean, it was amazing. Wrote lyrics to songs. We did some original music back then. But then once the babies were coming, it's like, you know what, that got backburnered. That went back on turn that burner off, put it back there. Thought that was never going to happen again. Um, by the second set, I was like, okay, turn that burner off completely, take that pot off the stove. The third set came along and I was just dumping everything into the sink and saying, that's it, it's over. But by the time the boys got to be about 10 years old, those were my last, and everybody was getting a little older, I just had one of those lightning bolt moments. It's not too late. get back into it, figure out how to do it, and make it happen. And that's what I did. And I got back into it. I was living in a new state, a new town, didn't know people in this town in terms of the music community, but you figure it out. You figure out a way. You talk to people, and that's where I am today. We've just finished our third album of original music. Yes, and I have a band that I am lead of and I manage, and we play all over Northeast Florida. We're called Class Act, Fran Pitre and Class Act, and it's I'm having the time of my life. And my number one biggest fan, groupie, roadie, and everything in between is my husband Bruce and our kids. Because as I said, our kids recorded on one of our songs, and when I do perform that one, whoever's there gets up and backs me up. So it's a family project. It's a definitely a family fun event every time we get together that way.
I mean, what better way to have family engagements than just,
Exactly.
hey, everybody come be a part of this new
That's
recording
exactly it.
of this song. And
Exactly.
I'm curious, Frank, walk us through your process of writing music because there's so many, I hate to say it, distractions. You've got AI,
Oh
you've
yeah.
got social media.
Right.
And how do you block out the regurgitated
Right.
stuff in order to keep that originality in not only just the lyrics, but also the instrumental orientation?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. Because as you said today, I mean, at our fingertips, it could be done in 10 minutes if we wanted to. So, well, when I was years and years ago, I had probably about 6 or 7 songs that I had written already. And I figured, you know what? I folded them up, stuck them into a drawer, and that was that. Well, three of them actually have come to fruition out of that drawer. What I do is I write the lyrics, and I sit down with a composer that I work with here in Jacksonville, a wonderfully talented gentleman named Kenny Levine, and we work on melody. We work on it together, and we put together a project. It starts from, any time from, it could take a week, it could take 2 months before we're happy with it. At that point, once we know what the melody is, how the lyrics are going to flow, then we arrange the music and I pick out what I want to hear. I start to arrange. If I hear lead guitar, if I hear only acoustic, if I feel like the vibe is more, let's get some big band in there, let's get some horns. It all depends on just what I'm trying to communicate with that song. But I drive the bus when it comes to this, that's for sure. Um, every one of these songs has to be just the way I wanted it. And I'm very, very much of a perfectionist, and it can take a very long time to get to that point. But so no one song's process is like the other. But we do it old school. We do it old school. We start with, how do you feel like this should be? What type of song would you like to maybe base this on? Does it feel like a Nora Jones kind of smoky piano bar vibe? And a couple of them did, and so we worked those out. A couple of them were, I want to inspire someone. I want to get somebody off their butts and get their dreams going. And so, it's got a great the lead and the title track to my second album is called "Follow Your Dreams," and that's the name of the album as well. And with that song, it's about the story. It's never too late. You can raise your kids and say, well, let them go off and now they be something. And my dreams, they were great. I got just so far, but it's over for me now. I'm just gonna, just stay quiet with the rest of my life. No, oh no, oh no. The dreams that we were given were never given to us by mistake. We were meant to do and meant to be, and this can go on, to my last breath. That's the way I choose to live. And so I'd like to inspire anyone listening, anyone reading and listening to the audiobook or the music. Get out there, do what you want, do what is pulling at your soul, because that is there for a reason. And and I say it's never too late. Don't give up. Do it, because all things are possible. All things are possible.
Fran, you already said it. I mean, there's a song by an artist. Her name is Lily Miola, and the song is called Don't Quit Your Daydream. And that's what it makes me think of. Don't quit on something that your heart has a burning desire to pursue.
Yep.
And so, Fran, for our audience who's tuning in, I'm sure that there's others who would want to connect with you and also get a copy of your book. How can they connect with you and also get a copy of your book, Twins Times Three?
Excellent. So first of all, just go to my website because my website has, of course, connections to all of my social media. So it's franpitresings.com. And on that site, you'll see everything. You'll see the music, you'll see the book, you'll see the story, you'll see the upcoming events of my band and everything that's going on. I'm on social media. I'm at Facebook. You can find my band at Fran Pitre and Class Act. That's where the band is and what's going on there. For the book, there's a direct website for the print book and the ebook, and that's twinsx3.com. And I also have a blog that I keep. It's just called franpitre.com, and that's for moms and parents of twins. I wrote countless articles on based on my own experiences. Everything from finding out you're pregnant with twins to planning your twins' wedding. So everything in between, breastfeeding and potty training and what to do when it comes to school because don't know if you want to keep them together. You will learn about twins, and twin dynamics are extremely interesting. There's a competitive aspect to it. There's the comparison aspect when you're raising them and you say, well, he's not doing what he's doing. Well, they shouldn't be compared. There's so many things that I can share in that blog. So please do find me. I would love to connect with you, and I'm looking forward to keeping up this conversation with you going, Portia, because I just love talking with you. I've probably over answered so many questions, but
Oh, no, you shared someone is going to hear this, whether it's a new mom of twins,
right.
someone who wants to rekindle that spirit of their music passion that might have got put on the back burner, right?
Yeah,
We never know how our stories are the blueprint to help somebody else to give them that inspiration,
I
right?
100% agree. I 100% agree. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, everybody, that was Miss Fran Pitre that you heard from. And that concludes another episode of Grew with Portia, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace and hair grease.